What if I told you getting everything you want requires this one revolutionary action? Chill the hell out. And I know even hearing that might irritate you a bit because if you've been wired to believe that money comes from effort, from pushing, from constantly thinking things through, then being told to relax almost feels irresponsible. It feels like you're going to fall behind or miss something, and that's exactly why most people can't actually access this state because their system doesn't feel safe being out of control. So they stay in this loop of overthinking, overworking, trying to force clarity, trying to force results, and it just keeps them stuck in the same place. The moment you stop gripping so tightly, things start to move in a completely different way. And I don't mean you sit around doing nothing. I mean you stop trying to solve everything from that tight, pressured state where your brain is just going in circles, because that state actually blocks the answers you're looking for. So Charles Darwin spoke about how he would spend months trying to consciously figure things out and get nowhere, and then the insight would come to him when he was resting, when he wasn't actively trying to force it. Thomas Edison would literally go lie down and take a nap when he was stuck on a problem because he understood the solution wasn't going to come from pushing harder. Henry Furr said his best ideas came when he stepped away from his work completely, not when he was hunched over trying to crack it. Leonard Riley Law talked about how his ideas would come when he was doing normal everyday things like shaving, driving, just being in motion without pressure. And if you think about it, you've experienced this yourself. You're in the shower and something clicks out of nowhere. You're walking and suddenly you have clarity on something that's been bothering you for days. You're lying in bed and your brain connects things in a way it couldn't when you were staring at a screen trying to figure it out. And it's because your system works differently when it's relaxed. When you're not trying to control every outcome, there's space for things to actually come through you instead of you trying to squeeze them out. And the problem is, most people are trying to live their entire life in that tight state, constantly thinking about the next step, the next move, the next outcome, and it just jams your creative mechanism. Even in performance, you see this. If you try to consciously think about every little thing you're doing, you mess it up. The more self aware and tense you become, the worse you perform. And it's the same with money, with work, with building anything. If you're constantly in your head trying to force the how, you don't leave any room for the how to actually show up. And there's this idea I really like, which I learned in a book recently. This idea of worrying before the wheel starts turning, not after. So if you're going to think something through, do it properly, sit down, make your decision, weigh your options. But once you've made that decision and you've set things in motion, continuing to worry about it does nothing except drain you. It doesn't change the outcome. It just keeps you stuck in this anxious loop where you're mentally trying to control something that's already moving. And people do this all the time, especially with shmoney, constantly checking, constantly stressing about what might happen instead of actually being present with what's in front of them. And it keeps their system in this heightened state where clarity just doesn't land. And even with goals, if you're obsessing over where you want to be instead of engaging with where you are, you make everything harder for yourself because your system can only operate in what's in front of you right now. It can't function in some imagined future. So when you're constantly mentally ahead of yourself, you disconnect from the process that actually gets you there. And this is why people feel stuck even when they are doing all the right things, because they're doing it from a state that's completely off. It's tense, it's pressured, it's trying to force something that can't be forced. And again, this doesn't mean you stop taking action. It just means you stop trying to take action from that frantic energy where you feel like everything depends on you figuring it out right now. because it doesn't. And when you start shifting into a state where you can actually breathe, where you're not constantly gripping onto outcomes, you'll notice things start to click in a way they didn't before. Ideas come faster, decisions feel clearer, opportunities are easier to see, and it feels almost obvious in hindsight. And that's the part people miss. They think they need more effort, more pressure, more thinking, when really what they need is space. And most people don't trust that. So they fill every second trying to do more, trying to think more, trying to control more, and then wonder why nothing is changing. And honestly, just start noticing this in yourself. Notice when you're in that tight, overthinking state, because that's your cue to step back for a second, go for a walk, take a shower, lie down, whatever it is that actually calms your system down, because that's where things start to move. Not when you're sat there trying to force your life into place. I feel like this video is more for me than anyone else. My God, I feel like such a hypocrite. But yeah, take a nap, take a chill pill, take a holiday. Thank you so much for watching, sending you love, and I will see you in a jiffy.